Welcome, traveler. This dismal day, I shall be giving ye spooky book recommendations. My name's Emma. Please stick around. I would love for you to stick around because like blood is sticky. I don't know. So, first book I would like to recommend to you. Not all of them are spooky, but all of them are perfect for Halloween. I recently read this one and I really loved it. I wasn't expecting to, but my cold dead heart was made a bit warmer and more alive from this book, and that is The Very Secret Society of Witches. It's been getting a lot of hype, and I think it's deserved because this was really, really sweet, really cute. It felt very real, it felt very wholesome, and very, very believable, and it just sucked me in. This one I listened to on audiobook. I would recommend the audiobook. I think it's fantastic. It follows a woman who is in, I think, her 30s. Her name is Mia, and she is a witch. No one knows she's a witch except for the other witches in England, because obviously if people, started knowing that there were witches everywhere, things would be very, very different. Mia's little enclave of witches, they gather every 3 months to update each other on new recipes, on maybe how their home lives are going, if they knitted a new sweater, nothing too serious, but just give them some small sense of community. Mia has had kind of enough of this. She has been alone her whole life, basically because of her being a witch, and so when she starts posting these not really clickbaity because she is a real witch, but she starts making these videos on Instagram of her making potions and doing witchy stuff, just the whole kit and caboodle. Someone actually reaches out to her believing that she is in fact a real witch, and it's a job listing, it's a job posting for her to come and work as essentially babysitter slash nanny slash caretaker of these 3 young girls who are also witches at this house called Nowhere House in the countryside. It's kind of in the middle of nowhere. It's in this really beautiful location. Mia is at a pretty desperate point in her life, and she's like, okay, I'm just gonna go see what's up. I think it's a scam. I think that it's not really gonna work out. But she has the sense that maybe it will, and she arrives at Nowhere House and her life starts to change because she accepts the position. It's really, really sweet. It's really wholesome. Tons of found family. There are a number of different people who live in Nowhere House because it's quite a big building. It's really beautiful. It's just a really beautiful story. It really warmed my heart. There's a dash of romance, there's a lot of sweet scenes with her and the children. There's magic worked in through, obviously, because she has to teach the kids how to control their magic, how to use it in ways that will actually do them good instead of alerting the public that witches exist. There's a lot of different issues talked about, and I just think it was really such a sweet, warm-hearted book that tackled a lot of issues, and I don't know, it never felt like too much. It always felt right. The pacing was great, the romance was great, the characters were believable, and I was really, really thoroughly impressed with The Secret Society of Witches. So I would give this one a go. Next up, we have something very different, and it is The Monk. Very, very different. It is The Monk by Matthew Lewis. I also read this one last Halloween season. This is a lot. This one is a lot. The Monk is one of the first gothic tales ever. It's one of the earliest ones out there in English, and really liked it. Very disturbing and very slow to get through, I will say. At some points it is kind of a slog, but the atmosphere of everything just becoming more and more sinister the more you get into The Monk is really what you should be in it for. It also deals a lot with the attitudes that were going around during the French Revolution. Lewis was really inspired, I guess is the word, by the horrors that he was seeing during the revolution, and a lot of that fits into The Monk. So this one follows the story of the monk. His name is Ambrosio. We are in Spain, and Ambrosio is so respected. People come to his church to just fawn over him, to fangirl over him. He is the idol of his day. Everyone loves him. I think he is the most upstanding, God-fearing man ever. I haven't said he is the abbot of the monastery, but some things start to happen. There's a lot of interweaving different plots in The Monk, a lot of different characters to follow. All of them have secrets. A lot of them are related, but when Ambrosio starts to question his vows and question them specifically because he starts to have feelings for this young girl, things start to go downhill very quickly. There's a lot about disguise, there's a lot about temptation, there's obviously a ton about religion. There's so much to do with the monastery, with the convent, with the church, with just the people of Spain. Enjoyed it, but I think you have to be in the mood to read something like this. It does take a while to read, and as well to be aware that it just gets so unhinged, so much violence. It's pretty gory, it's very explicit, and the monk just descends basically through all the levels and circles of depravity and violence and transgression. That is the monk. A strange one, an interesting one, a very violent one, but I mean, it's gothic, it's perfect for Halloween, it's spooky, and I really enjoyed reading it last year, so that is that one. I have a book I'm currently reading, and I want to thank you guys so much because this was in my bag of books to unhaul, to donate somewhere, and so many of you kicked up a fuss in the comments that I was like, maybe I should actually keep it and see what you're all talking about. And that book is The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater. So I'm currently in the middle of reading this one, and can I just say I'm really enjoying it. I was not expecting to enjoy it at all. I didn't think it was going to be very good. I don't know why, I just didn't think I was going to enjoy The Raven Boys, but I'm really liking it. And I'm so glad that I've picked it up kind of incidentally around Halloween. I'm reading The Raven Boys for a secret TBR video that I'm doing that will be coming to you soon for a reading vlog. But it's good. It is very good. It's a young adult book. It's the first in a series. I've enjoyed so much a lot of Maggie Stiefvater's other works, but The Raven Boys is a bit different. There is an element of the supernatural to it because a lot of Stiefvater's books contain the supernatural, and this one is no different. So we're following Blue, who is a young girl. She lives with her mother and a large group of women, and all of them are clairvoyants to some extent. So they can see the future, they all have different methods, they all have different powers, and they all have different varying levels of accuracy, I guess, and power to see the future, to see the dead, to communicate with the spirit world as well. So Blue has always been fated. There's always been a prophecy about her that she is destined to kill her first love. More specifically, when she kisses her true love, he's gonna die. He will just straight up bite the bullet, and there's nothing anyone can do about that. So because of this, she's kind of grown up being like, I'm not gonna fall in love, I'm not gonna meet anyone, I don't want to make any part of this prophecy come true. She also doesn't have any powers, which is a bit unusual considering her family background, but she works kind of part-time at a restaurant, and she has this deep burning hatred for the very prestigious, rich, arrogant boys who all go to the very well-off prep school Eglinby, and they are the 4 boys who are known as the Raven Boys. So they all have like millionaire, billionaire fathers, they all have varying troubled backgrounds, and of course Blue starts to run in with these 4 boys. This book, you get the perspective of a lot of our different characters. I feel like I know them all. Maggie Stiefvater's writing in here is actually it's unique, it's quirky, it's funny, I think it's well done, and I'm having a good time. The 4 Raven Boys as well are up to something that is vaguely connected to Blue and like what her family does as well, so there's a whole plot opening there, but there's like so much going on, and I'm honestly really excited to keep reading. I'm very happy to be in the middle of reading this book, and I would recommend at the point I am now and what I've heard about it, because it's so good. It's so good right now, and I'm having a really good time, and I was not expecting this, and I'm just thrilled about it. So thank you for kicking up the fuss. I mean, need I say that one of the boys that's going to be her first love is maybe one of the Raven Boys, obviously. Another quintessential spooky read for Halloween that I would I would like to just steer you towards that book. A play, actually, specifically, because it's Macbeth by Shakespeare. I would really recommend this one. I read Macbeth for the first time this year. 5-star, so good. The language, the atmosphere, the blood, just like it's so dark, it's so perfect, it's so suffocating. It reminds me a lot of Beowulf, actually, and I just loved it. instantly shot to like my top, I don't know, top 3 at least favorite Shakespeare plays, and it's all it's cracked up to be. It's so good. Obviously you have witches, you have Macbeth, our main character, trying to make his way up in power to eventually become the King of Scotland, based again on a prophecy that the 3 weird sisters have told him. And the language, just the language, it's beautiful. You have the whole conflict between Macbeth, Lady Macbeth. So much beautiful imagery in here, so much gore, so much blood, so much murder, so many spirits, so many hauntings. It's just, I can't say anything more about it. It's perfect. I cannot wait for the day when Macbeth is finally being performed somewhere. I've been like trying to search for something nearby at all, but I cannot wait to go and see Macbeth one day. So please, if you can, if you find Macbeth, yeah, give it a go. Give it a go. Next recommendation is also a 5-star read, and it's giving me a little bit outfit inspo, yeah, for today. It's, oh god, it's Interview with the Vampire. It's Interview with the Vampire by Anne Rice. Is there anything better? Is there truly anything better than this masterpiece for this time of year? No. This became one of my favorite books of last year. I cannot wait to continue on with the Vampire Chronicles because this is book 1 in a very long series. I do have book 2. I'm going to be picking it up any day now to continue the love. Oh my gosh. Dude, the vampires, the questions, the philosophy, the existential debates, the depression, the anguish, the immortality, the decadence, the violence. It's just, it's perfect. Anne Rice's writing is really, I don't know, I just felt so there. I could see everything. It played out like a movie in my head, adjacent to the movie that is actually the movie, but I just annotated so much. If you don't know what Interview with the Vampire is about, we follow this young man, Louis, who gets turned into a vampire by a very selfish vampire named Lestat, because, I mean, Lestat is lonely. Lestat is such an interesting character. If I'm not mistaken, I think the second book follows him, but you follow Louis and Lestat's journey. They travel everywhere. They adopt this young like 5-year-old girl who they turn into a vampire. They get up to all sorts of shenanigans. They love each other. They hate each other. They want to strangle each other. I feel like this was everything I didn't know that I could want from a vampire book, which is crazy because obviously Anne Rice, it's just so foundational, but it's just everything I wished I could have from a vampire book. Like so many deep discussions, conversations between 2 beings who are now really immortal, who are now going to live forever. They have to deal with these consequences. They have to deal with their morals. Louis especially, that is his whole thing that he's going through, is his moral dilemma now that he is a vampire and has to take human life in order to survive. Lestat is wholly unconcerned with any of that. He doesn't really care. He's just here to have a good time and to cause havoc. And god, the conversations in this book, I live for dialogue. In novels, I live for 2 people or more, a whole group of people sitting down, hashing it out, talking so much and talking so, I don't know, poetically, but also truthfully about everything that they're going through and they're feeling, and it's just so beautiful. Anyway, it's just really a journey for questions, starting in New Orleans. You end all the way at the end of the novel in San Francisco, where Louis is telling his story, obviously in an interview format, and it's just, oh god, it's so good. I cannot wait to continue on with it. So this would probably be maybe my #1 recommendation of the video. So fun, it's so entertaining, and it's so rich. It's so rich, I think is a really good word for this book. So that is Interview with the Vampire. We have a book featuring the devil, murder, money, secrets, jealousy, depravity, everything, and that is The Brothers Karamazov. I think this is, again, a great book for the season. It put me in not so great a place when I read it. It is definitely a long journey. I would say take your time. With this one, I don't really want to say too much about the plot. This book like encompasses everything. It just encompasses everything, all of human experience, really. It's a story of 3 brothers, the brothers Karamazov. We have the eldest, who is full of passion, who lives very in the moment and in the pleasures of life. We have the middle brother, who is very concerned with books and knowledge and philosophy and moral dilemmas. He lives more so in the mind, and we have the youngest brother who is a novice right now. He is training to be a full-fledged monk. He's very spiritual. He's just kind of sunshine, really. And all of them get swept up in this crime that takes place in their village, and this book is basically the account of that crime. Another 5-star. I cannot wait to reread this book for the rest of my life. I feel like that's a pretty high compliment. It is spooky, it's disturbing, it's depressing, it's hopeful though, and it's really, 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 really good. It's just good. That's all I can say at this point. Getting a little chilly, so this is good. The next book, I kind of feel like the plot for this, someone just whipped it out of a random generator, like generate me a plot, and then they wrote a book about it. So this one might be a bit more niche. Definitely not a book I think most people, or maybe a lot of people, want to pick up. But if you've ever wanted to read a book about a woman with an obsession to eat roadkill, this one might do it for you. It might be for you. I've only started the first few pages of this book. It's called To Be Devoured. This one I found in a specialty horror bookshop, so I've never seen it anywhere else. I've never seen anyone talk about it. It sounds extremely interesting. What does carrion taste like? Andy has to know. The vultures circling outside her home taunt and invite her to come understand the secrets hiding in their banquet of decay. Fascination morphs into an obsessive need to know what the vultures know. So she eventually does go see a therapist about this, but her therapist is like, girl, I can't help you. She also has anger-induced blackouts, which are probably related to this whole thing. So no idea how it's gonna end or how this is gonna go for her. It seems like she's just gonna get food poisoning. Can you even call that food poisoning? I don't know. I want to say though, flipping through this and reading the first few pages, very, very visceral. There's viscera. I don't know. I would say maybe read this one on an empty stomach. I'm going to recommend now a book that I didn't like, but that I've seen a lot of people like, so you could also like. And that is The Hacienda. I read this last October, was very, very underwhelmed. It's pitched as Mexican Gothic meets Rebecca. I really enjoyed the concepts of Mexican Gothic. Don't think it was well written at all. The Hacienda, okay, here's the thing. I wish the plot of Mexican Gothic could have married the writing of The Hacienda, because The Hacienda, just like, the writing was better. It was very dull though, honestly. It was very dry. It felt like nothing happened in this book. But again, a lot of people have loved it to bits. This one is about a young girl who marries this very wealthy man. She's taken away to his house, of course. It's a big old house in the middle of nowhere. It's creaky. There's like a west wing that is off limits, of course. The husband turns out to be not a very nice guy. Isabella, I believe her name is, I think our protagonist's name is Isabella, starts to develop feelings for the local priest, who is a cutie. He is a cutie. Together, Isabella and the priest start to work out like what the heck is happening in this house. The house, just the hacienda, seems evil. Like, it seems like it has a mind of its own. I love haunted house stories. I love when buildings and architecture play a huge role in the horror of a novel. This one I didn't feel at all. It felt a little bit laughable to me because people have such different opinions on books and have such different reactions, and everything is so subjective. If you like very slow moving, not too scary, I will say, if you don't like horror books, The Hacienda is definitely not too scary. There's nothing incredibly frightening to me, so if you want like horror on low, I would recommend The Hacienda. Of course, there's secrets, there are creepy stepsisters, there is a lot of, yeah, just grief dealing with what has happened in the house. This whole book to me felt like it took place with the lights out. Like, I'm like, was there any light in this novel? I don't know, but yeah, that is The Hacienda. So if you want, like, again, a horror novel that is just simmering, it's not gonna boil over, there's a little spice in there, and there is a tiny fleck of romance as well. Here's your soup. Last book on the recommendations list for this year. This is like one of my favorite videos to make all year, but it's a non-fiction and it is good. It is Corridors, Passages of Modernity by Roger Luckhurst. I also read this book this year. Loved it. I know there's going to be a lot of you who are going to be into this because I know I know you, I know who some of you are exactly, and I know you're really going to enjoy this book. So basically, this nonfiction, Corridors, is all about the study of hallways. It's a cultural study of hallways, but it starts with the question, why do we regard and think of hallways and experience corridors as passages of dread? What is the anxiety in hallways? Why does it bring up this feeling of, I don't know, suffocation, dread, anxiety, horror in us? Like, where and why has this occurred? And so Roger Luckhurst goes literally all the way to the invention of the hallway. I believe he starts in ancient Greece, and then he goes all the way up until like The Shining with it, the movie, with its very famous hallway scenes. And he asks, why is this such a dread-filled space? Like I said, the study of architecture is one of my favorite things, especially from a literary perspective, and so interesting. This goes over chapters like corridors in hotels, which is obviously right up my alley. This was a source that I used in my thesis. It goes over asylums, hospitals. It has a whole chapter dedicated to like kind of private houses in England, like state houses, manors, which was very interesting. We spend our lives moving through passages, hallways, corridors, and gangways. Yet they do not feature in architectural histories, monographs, or guidebooks. They are overlooked, undervalued, and disregarded. It explores how the corridor went from a utopian ideal to a place of unease. And it's also illustrated. Yeah, would highly recommend. Really love this. Fascinating. I didn't need to read this whole thing for my research because I was more interested in, like, you know, how the hotel utilizes hallways, but I read the whole thing cover to cover because it was so interesting. I think it's pretty well written, it's engaging, and it's just a fascinating piece. So would highly recommend Corridors if this is something up your alley. I'm gonna go now before my candles burn down my bookshelves. I want to say thank you for watching. Happy spooking season. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, leave me, I don't know, what should you leave me? Oh, leave me a vampire. Leave me a little. I'm actually on my way to go get donuts this fine morning. I don't know if I want to go like this yet or not, but I just might. I will see you in my next video. Have a very wonderful day. Ciao.